If you'd like to know more about the plants mentioned on this episode, visit our Instagram page at Plants, People, Places Podcast or our Facebook page and just search for Plants, People and Places Podcast. Welcome to Plants, People and Places, the podcast in which we speak with plants people and find out what special connection they have with their plants. In this episode, we chat with our favorite Viking and garden writer and nurseryman, Tommy Tonsberg. Tommy, nice to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. How are you?
Well, likewise. Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, we were just chatting before the recording that there's about a 10-degree difference and you're actually warmer in Norway than we are, aren't you?
Yes, it's strange for us. It's not usually this warm so early in the year, so
Yes.
we don't know what to do with ourselves, actually. We need
No, I
rain.
bet. Suddenly have to go out and everything.
Yes.
First of all, can you just tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Well, I'm horticulturalist and writer. I used to work for the Norwegian Horticultural Society and was editor-in-chief of their magazine for quite a few years. And now I run my own company, which is a web shop that sells plants and seeds and gardening equipment. And we also produce herbaceous perennials here at the small holding, which I own, and where I'm trying to keep my garden looking okay. But the season is too short, so I basically eat, breathe, and dream gardens and plants.
Oh, that's not a bad thing.
No, no, definitely not.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you. So what did get you originally into gardening? Have you been into gardening all your life, or has something changed at some point that you thought I want to go in there?
No, I think I've been interested most of my life. I think it started with houseplants, actually.
All
So,
right.
given a Phalaenopsis orchid at some point.
Mm,
When I was even younger than that, I used to help my grandparents in their garden. So I
mm.
had like a mini vegetable plot next to my grandfather's, which I think he tended most of the time, but I got credit for it. So,
Always
uh,
good.
yeah. And then I started working at a garden center uh, besides going to school
Mhm.
as my first sort of first job. And then one day, the local gardening club was having uh, they were trying to get more members, so they were outside. So I joined the local gardening club and then just never looked back.
Oh,
Because
brilliant.
all of a sudden you met all these people who had all these cool plants that we didn't even sell in the garden center. So it was a whole new world with all these new wonderful things.
Yeah. Oh, no, brilliant. And so, well, you mentioned plants already, of course, because that's what we're talking about as well a lot. Have you got a favorite plant at all?
That's a very, very difficult question because it changes, doesn't it, from
Yeah.
whatever's in flower or whatever's doing well when you're looking at it. But when it comes to indoor plants, I'm quite fond of Hoyas,
Oh,
the
yeah.
wax flowers, so I have quite a few of those. But outside, well, it has to be a bit herbaceous perennial. I think I'm going to have to say the Himalayan blue poppies.
Oh, wow.
They
Yeah.
grow they grow reasonably well with us, and they have a color which is just out of this world.
Yeah. It's unlike any other blue, isn't it? In
It is, yeah,
flowers. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, you're very lucky you can grow them. I've tried several times and never been very successful, unfortunately. But yeah, yeah, they're beautiful. It's
yeah.
definitely on my wish list. If I ever move somewhere where I can grow them, they're on it.
Move to Scotland.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, a few miles away.
Yes.
So if you have like plants, I mean, you said you started in your grandparents' garden really with a little vegetable plot. But are there any plants that have special memories for you because you might have got it from someone or you found it somewhere, or, something like that?
Um, well, there's so many plants that have been given by various people up through the times. Uh, And I think especially when people are no longer with us, those plants tend to mean more.
Hmm.
Um, I have, it's called a snowflake in English, Leucoium vernum.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, I was given that by old gardening friend of mine who I used to help in the garden, and her entire garden was covered with them because they had self-seeded and spread everywhere.
Mm.
I'm quite fond of those. So I have them several places in the garden, and they luckily they spread here as well. So
Oh,
they
good.
grow here.
Have you got the really tall one then, or the shorter ones, or a mix? Or
Uh, it's uh it's a mix one, the short to very early ones that come up. So with us, because we usually have snow until April, so
Hmm.
when the snow finally melts, they're already in bud. They've been in bud inside the snow, so they're
Oh,
sort of one of the first things that flower for us as well. So that also makes them extra special.
wow. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's a bit like our snowdrops then, in a way, isn't it? The first thing that comes up, and
Yes,
sort of the first sign of spring, but not quite, maybe.
yes.
Oh, very nice.
Well, for us, snowdrops come at the same time. So in April,
Okay,
I've
really.
had some. I've had some in flower until very recently. So May
Wow.
flowering plants.
Yeah, I was just dying back now. I walked through the woodland yesterday and it's all yellow leaves of snowdrops. So, they're nearly
Yeah.
gone.
Yes.
It must be really different for you because I know you've worked quite a lot at Beth Chatto's as well, haven't you, in the garden? So yeah, it must be a
Okay.
huge difference between gardening where you are and in the UK. Yeah, how do you deal with all the cold and everything?
Yeah. Well, I think with the cold, you just get used to it in a way.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of gardening that goes on here 6 months of the year. So you have
Mm.
to tend the house plants indoors. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
why I used to travel to the UK quite a lot, and I've also volunteered at Bechatos,
Hmm.
usually in early spring, because that way I get to go over there and experience spring, see the snowdrops and all the early flowers, and then
Yeah.
go home, have a bit more of snow, and then experience spring again. So get two springs in 1 year.
Well, that's quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it gives a little break from all the snow and the cold.
Mm. Yeah, and what is the soil like where you are?
With me, it's silty soil,
Okay.
so it's very easy to dig. That's
Mm.
but apparently we had to drill for our own water.
Okay.
Like, what's it called? A borehole or something.
Yeah.
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 And under the silt, there's 160 meters of clay.
Wow.
Quite a lot of clay.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah, that's
find
quite a
water in
bit.
the end, but
Yeah, I've got an old classmate from the Netherlands who moved to Bergen, and he's actually just he used to be a nurse, but he's gone into gardening a few years ago as well. And
yeah,
he showed me some of his garden, and it was just rock. So
yes, exactly.
that must be quite different as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's big differences in
Mm.
the soil. Yeah.
Brilliant. And have you got any, what we call it, have you got a plant ick? So is there any plant that you really do not like and you think, oh, they need to be banned?
Um, no, I
None.
don't think so. I want to be no, I don't think there is actually.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh, well, that's really good that you
Sorry.
like all plants. I've had
I mean,
Rabinia Red Robin, no, sorry, Photinia Red Robin a few times as an answer as well.
yes.
And how are you with variegation?
I think it's all right. Some things are quite nice.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it depends on the type of variegation, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, no, I love variegation, although I have to
I
admit,
know.
yeah, yeah, my variegated Spamania and everything, but I've gone more into the yellow variegation recently. So
Okay, right. Yeah,
I'm over white.
you're over white. Okay.
So, how sort of within Horticulture. I mean, have you got any horticultural heroes? Like, could be Norwegian, could be from anywhere, really.
Well, it would be Bet Chateau, of course.
Mm.
And I was also very lucky the first years that I volunteered there, I was lucky to meet her and
Oh, wow.
talk to her as well. So
Mm.
that was good. She wasn't out working in the garden anymore when I started there, but she was still in the house. So
Mm.
yes,
Oh,
I think Beth and the right plant, right place is very, very important.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I suppose, especially at Beth Chatto's, it's with the gravel garden and everything. That's properly introduced there, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And there's so many different. Um, you have the wood garden with the shade, and you have the gravel garden with the dry and the sun, and the water garden with the swampy, wet areas. So you get to
Yeah.
see so many plants and learn how they want to grow. So
Yeah.
yeah, big
Amazing.
inspiration.
And what do you like about her style then of the garden?
Well, I think it's quite informal, the planting, and
Mm.
also that it's very plant rich. I mean, there's so many different plants there as well
Yeah.
in the gardens, and also some unusual things. So it's not repetition of the same plants over and over again. There's like so
Yeah.
you see so many different things. So much to
Yeah.
learn.
No, I love the garden. It is definitely one of my favorite gardens as well in the UK. And I also find, I mean, unfortunately, Beth Chatto is no longer with us, but the garden still carries on really well in the spirit of Beth Chatto.
Yes.
Yeah, it still feels the same. And with other gardens, sometimes yeah, it's continued, but it's completely a different garden there. Of course there are things to say for that as well, but yeah, I think with Beth Chatto is really important to maintain that like that as well. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah. So if you would have a chance to see Beth Chatto again and you were able to give her one of your plants, do you know which one you would give her then?
um, that's a very good question also.
It's sort of a different way of asking you what your favorite plant is. I'm
Yes.
just trying to get it out of you.
Well, I could give her a Himalayan blue poppy, but I'm not sure that it would like the very warm summers there. I could
Mm.
try Glossidium palmatum. It's a Japanese woodland plant,
All right, I don't know
which
that
I
one.
know from one of her books that they have tried, but I'd be happy to give her some of my plants to
Let her
have
try
another
again.
go. Yes.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. Well, thanks very much. I've also got every week or every episode is the plant of the episode, and I'm not sure you can grow it in Norway, but you might be able to if you're interested indoors, I suppose. But it is Fuchsia procumbens, the New Zealand creeping fuchsia. Do you know that one?
Yes, I do. I
Can you
used
grow it
to
then?
I used to grow it, but had to take it in winter,
Yeah.
so not so. So it wouldn't be able to survive outside here. I
No,
think
I
the
think.
fuchsia that does sometimes is Magellanica,
Oh
but
yes.
then it freezes back like a perennial, so it just comes
Yeah.
up the ground.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah, yeah. It's where I am in Kent, of course. It is quite hardy. I'm really near the sea as well, so we hardly get any frost, and it's romping away. It's getting a bit well, too much really in my garden.
Okay.
But I said plant of the episode because this week I actually saw the first flowers on it, which is really early. Tiny
Oh,
little flowers, yellow and blue as well. And when the pollen, of course, ripen, and they are bright blue as well. And sometimes some berries afterwards, but hardly any really last year, even though it flowered like anything. But it
okay.
will keep on flowering until, yeah, probably September, October at least, which is lovely, and it really does cover the soil quite well. So yeah, if you are in an area where it does get colder, then it's very easy to overwinter them as a cutting just on your windowsill. It does root wherever it touches the ground, so it's quite easy to get some cuttings out of them, and just a really lovely little fuchsia that just grows all over your garden, which is lovely. Well, thank you very much, Tommy, for being with us today. I know you're very busy with plant fairs have all started up, so I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with us. And I hope to see you in the UK very soon.
Yes, it was really lovely. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. This podcast has been sponsored by Newbury Farm Plants in Silsoe, Central Bedfordshire. Newbury Farm Plants for all your garden plants from bedding to trees and exotics. Newbury Farm Plants in Silsoe, Central Bedfordshire.